Hello and welcome to Comics Solving Problems. I'm Stephen Allen.
And I'm Eric McElroy. Good evening and welcome back to the show. Steve.
It's been a couple of weeks, isn't it? How you been?
Yes, I've been, yeah, kind of the same. The city. I know we started the show as Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems about 17 years ago. When the pandemic began. And it felt like at that time we went into a real rut. I mean, we could kind of measure this change in time by the fact that my hair got longer, which my hair is getting longer again because we're coming through the latest mini, not real lockdown, but lockdown. And I didn't want to go get my hair cut because I didn't want to be around the Omicron contagious beauty people. So it's kind of the same. Has life changed at all for you?
Nope. Nope, still doing these things. And yep. I think for me it was obviously beard length. That I thought there was a correlation between beard length and mental health. And I think it's still true. I definitely need to trim. It's not been the easiest time. But we've been off for 2 weeks. And during that time, I failed to get Omicron, which feels like a waste. Like I could have got it sorted and moved on, but I didn't. So it's pretty stupid of me.
Yeah, I still feel like even though I had COVID in December, I got my booster at the beginning of January, but we are live gigging now. Not obviously, at the moment, this is still very much separate because that's how we do better when we've got that little bit of a divider right there. Oh, so close. But I feel like it's inevitable I'm going to get it because, I mean, we've been in green rooms and stuff lately.
Yeah,
it just feels
comedians
like
are dirty. Have you seen them? So many of them
filthy,
are
disgusting human beings.
Kind of, I don't need to have an injection. Oh God!
And people have started hugging again. Have you been? I mean, I know you don't like to hug, but yeah. I'm better liked than you are, and people have tried to hug me.
Yeah,
it's still a fucking pandemic.
I've spent enough decades of my life grinning through what I considered to be social obligation to let people hug me. Never again. I'm out. No, get off my body. You do not have. I am not giving my consent to be touched. Job done. Was that?
Yeah. So, well, welcome back to the show. We have been off for a couple of weeks for various reasons, where we are solving problems as we go through. Hopefully you're joining us on the YouTube, which is the main place to chat about the show. We can see there's some people there. They're saying hello. So hello all. We'll catch up with chat in just a minute. It's very nice to have everybody back. You can subscribe to the channel. You can follow us on the Twitter things. And if at any point during the show you are so inclined to continue us doing this endeavor, which apparently, according to the British Comedy Guide, we are one of the longest running shows that started in lockdown that is still going because our careers have still not taken back off.
I know. Who would have thought?
So you can always contribute if you'd like to. That's always very much appreciated. And that keeps us coming back every Tuesday and explaining it to our partners.
Yeah. And also it produces the money that lets us buy soundproof padding for a shed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Beautiful. So yeah, keep all that happening and we'll solve some problems. Shall I jump in with a news story?
Kick it.
Kick it. It's the coolest
I don't know where that
thing
came from.
You've ever tried to say. So I want to deal with the obvious news of the day, the biggest one. This is about the Sue Gray report, the failure of leadership. Exciting times. It was delayed for a while. Apparently the reason the Sue Gray report was delayed is because they'd originally planned for it to be delivered by a Hermes. The fact that it was delivered at all is still quite a breakthrough. The interesting thing, though, is that it's not even the report. Because of the police involvement, all the juicy stuff has been left behind. If anything, this thing that we heard over the last few days should be the least interesting bits. Still, an apology was needed, and this is not even the juicy stuff. This is effectively an update rather than the report. This is the teaser trailer. You know, like in the world of films where they give you a small trailer to get you excited about it. Basically, this Sue Gray report is nothing more than a trailer, and I imagine it would look something like this.
This fall, Tom Cruise is...
Work. Dude.
Sue Gray.
What do we got? Got an office, cheese, wine, nibbles, some cake. Someone just wrapped a birthday gift. We better get down there. This guy's wasted. It's a work, dude.
The Sue Gray report.
My word, I think I'd watch that if that came out.
Nice.
But we heard a few details about there being an unacceptable level of drinking at number 10. And I'm not surprised by that. Surely there is no one that can look at the dishevelled mess that is Boris Johnson and think, he drinks? What? And yet there were some statements, some apologies. Let's go through some of the details.
Firstly, I want to say sorry. And I'm sorry for the things we simply didn't get right, and also sorry for the way that this matter has been handled.
Sorry for getting caught. Sorry for the way in which this has caused a problem. It's not the most heartfelt of sorries. It did come across as one of those, oh, sorry if you were upset by this. And then it got worse. Just when I was about to start to give some credit, thinking, well, at least he said the word sorry. It's a step in the right direction. Then we got more details of his apology.
And it's no use saying that this or that was within the rules.
Look, it's no use pointing out how right I am. I realise this is not the time to point out that I did no wrong. It's no use saying that I was definitely in the right all along. What I want to say is sorry. What an arsehole. I mean, and given that even today, just before we came on, there was a highlighted story in The Guardian. Boris Johnson attended a leaving do during strict January lockdown. In the past, there'd been an excuse that leaving do's were work events. There was someone, I can't remember the name of the minister, who was interviewed on one of those Politics Sunday shows saying, well, it's work related. What? I mean, I suppose it is, because someone's leaving work in the same way that, because we couldn't have anyone invited to my father's funeral. If I would have known about it, I would have hired people on a temporary contract, 0 hours, not paid them anything, called it a works do and got round it. But it turns out I'm not the kind of arsehole that tries to get away with breaking the rules. Interesting, isn't it? There's no point pointing out that the rules were stuck to. There's no point trying to use some great excuses. Some of the ones that we heard was his birthday party wasn't a birthday party. He was simply ambushed by cake. That was a particularly good one, which was always on my list of ways I wanted to die. For me, it was ambushed by cake, custard cream OD, surprise trifle, time massaged to a pulp, or Kylied to death. They were all on my list. So far, none of them. But more of the speech.
Sorry, just the Kylie to death.
Kylied to death. Seems like a verb, doesn't it?
How would that work exactly?
I've not looked into the details, but I do have a small fan fiction collection that explains most of them.
Okay, apologies.
Yeah. And then, so he went on.
And it's no use saying that people were working hard. This pandemic was hard for everyone.
I don't know there, Boris. I think you might be onto a point. It's not that everyone was hard. I wasn't hard at work because I'd lost all of my jobs. I used to work in the hospitality sector. You know, the hospitality sector that made money by people drinking and celebrating and having parties. Yeah, if only there was a way that could have gone on, I might not have been so poor during this pandemic. But anyway, Boris, never mind. Let's move on to the next thing you have to say.
Mr. Speaker, I get it. And I will fix it.
Yeah, and it's not the only time he brought up the concept of people fixing it, given that for some reason we ended up getting a Jimmy Savile mention. Ooh, what an interesting day in the world of British politics. So here's a clip.
Instead, Mr. Speaker, this leader of the opposition, a former director of public prosecutions, Mr. Speaker, so he spent most of his time prosecuting journalists and failing to prosecute Jimmy Savile, as far as I can make out, Mr. Speaker.
He did not look impressed, spent most of his time failing to prosecute Jimmy Savile. So all the news sites were trying to dig into it to find out what's happening. No evidence for Boris Johnson's claim about Keir Starmer and Jimmy Savile. I was reading online that whilst Keir Starmer was in charge of all of the prosecutions, he wasn't the lawyer who looked into the case. So, I mean, you could say, because he was in charge of the whole thing, there is a whiff of responsibility, but then the same way you could say whoever was in charge of the nation should have done something to stop Jimmy Savile. And I'm sure they would have found time to stop something that heinous, and oh dear. So there are many people getting upset as the discussions went on. I think a highlight for me is what SNP's Ian Blackford said.
He misled the House. He must now resign. That man has misled the House.
Ooh. I mean, it's good. He's not using the word lie, but he's close to it, isn't he? He misled. That's kind of lying. And the rule is you can't call someone a liar in the House of Commons. And I've never really truly understood that as a rule. So to find out more, I'm joined by an MP. Hello.
Hello, Steve.
So why can't you call someone a liar?
Within the House of Commons, it is convention that you cannot call a liar a liar. If we started naming all of the liars, we'd simply run out of time. We would be there all day.
Aren't you meant to be there all day?
You're missing the point, Steve. If we spent all of our time calling all of the liars liars, we would get no work done.
Why don't politicians just stop lying?
No, you've lost me there. No, feels like I've not understood something. No.
Okay, I think we've got all of the answers we need from that one. So it's been an interesting time, and the best thing about it is this is not even the end of the report, is it? This is, as I say, just the teaser, the first instalment. It's all been delayed because of the Met Police looking into it. And what I love about this, we're so used to the concept of I can't comment on an ongoing investigation that we absolutely suck it down. But it's not. There is no way of prejudicing the outcome of something that's just a police investigation. You can't sway a jury. No one's been arrested. There's no active case. There are no reasons why you can't talk about it. We're just so used to believing it as a perfectly good excuse that it's time to rise up against this. Because whenever an MP says, "Why I couldn't possibly comment on an active investigation," what they actually mean is, "Why I couldn't possibly help an active investigation." And that's the absolute state that we're in at the moment. So that's my take on that. Before we go to the comments, what's been your appreciation of the last few days?
Well, a couple things. One is that the comment about it being a work due and a leaving due is a very important distinction. So as long as you have the leaving due before the person leaves work, you're still on the job. If you have them come, because sometimes, they'll be like, oh, Gary was off, so we had him come back in for his leaving party, then that would be against the rules. But as long as you did it before he clocked out, then it's perfectly fine.
But that person's not left then, so why would you have a leaving due?
You're that, and then it's still then it's a work meeting.
Okay.
It's a pre-departure, like the pre-departure lounge.
Pre-flight drinks.
Pre-flight drinks. It's
which is what
absolutely
you get
fine
on British Airways if you're a pilot. Yeah,
exactly. Those kind of things. I did have another point there, and it's escaped me now because I got so excited about that last point. I think this is going to run and run and run because the longer it runs, the more that Boris can get more things wallpapered. I think is the main goal here, is the euphemism that we're looking at. It's essentially he's reached definite Trumpian levels because by implying that in the Parliament that Keir Starmer had something to do with Jimmy Savile, that's been debunked. But because he says it in Parliament, you're allowed to libel someone, and you can't go after them for that. So he's perfectly fine. And then he's basically said, I'm not going to apologize for it, and I'm not going to change what I've said, which is what Trump does all the time. Like when he made up words, covfefe. Clearly, that's a drunk tweet. Even if Trump doesn't drink, that was a Big Mac high tweet.
Yeah.
But he said, that's what I meant to say. So it's the same levels.
God,
yeah. Never back down. Never back down. That's why this is the best and top show on YouTube and all of the available platforms.
Yeah, never back down until we're asked to or banned again by YouTube.
That's right. So
I'll go through some of the comments then. Shout out to some of the people here. Charlotte's here saying good evening. Early bird tonight. You're in early. Nice. I talked about beard length being linked to mental health. Martin says I must be insane then. #beard. I know the feeling. I'll try and shave it tomorrow and be better. Ed's here. Ready for that fourth wave then? Yep. Yeah, we're locked down and ready for that to happen. Let's have a look. Covered up the power sockets. Yeah, you can't see the power sockets anymore. They're back there somewhere. They'll eventually be the bit that goes brown first and then starts the fire. But until then, happy shed time. Stephen Leatherdale's with us. Evening all. Who is this Sue Gray again? No idea. I didn't really pay attention to it. Victoria, good job Johnson rehired those 20,000 police officers. Most of those are going to be busy looking into his shenanigans. Yeah. And for most of the day, we didn't know if the Met Police gave him a fixed penalty fine for attending. We wouldn't necessarily hear about it because unless he contested it, it wouldn't go to a magistrate's court. And if he had gone to court, it would be public knowledge. But I think we would have found out about it anyway because he could have done a freedom of information as to who paid that fine for him because it would have been himself. It would have been a donor.
You sound like you know a lot about the process of appealing these fines.
Been off for a fortnight. You've got to do something, haven't you?
I remembered my other salient and really relevant point, and that the whole well, there's an inquiry, we can't say anything. There's a police investigation, we can't say anything. It's the same thing that you use whenever you just don't want to do something in the workplace. You just go, human resources, HR, health and safety. Can't do it, mate. Sorry. Health and safety. I mean, we've used that. I've used that in comedy nights when I had somebody stood once. There was a big bunch of guys in, and they didn't believe in sitting down for the comedy because they'd come for stand-up comedy, so they thought it meant they had to stand up. And it's about power and control, and we stand up. You sit the fuck down. Yeah. And so I wanted the guys to sit down, and they wouldn't. And so I went over and went, sorry guys, health and safety. We can't proceed with the show unless you sit down. And they were like, oh. All right.
Yeah, nothing beats health and safety.
And then, and then they said we were going to launch an inquiry into whether it was a health and safety requirement, and then they stood up again. So,
Brit says, I reckon Bojo was 70% making up everyone photocopy their bums during these work meetings. It would be 100%, but he has probably never seen or used one before, or a photocopier, says Martin. Nice.
Yeah.
But Johnson had all those technology lessons. Surely it included photocopier use. Yeah, the technology lessons that he had from Jennifer, whatever her name was.
McPhee.
I think it was the technology lessons might have just been replacing batteries in something. Not sure what. Yeah, a Curie. That's it.
That's it. There we go.
Let's have a look. In the words of Homer Simpson, it takes two to lie, the one to lie and the one to listen, says Ed. You come here, Steve, with your logic, says Martin. Don't start criticising me for logic. That's literally all I've got in this world. Johnson's in trouble, says Mark, when he has to get Michael Fabricant, the world's first human hamster hybrid, to defend him.
This has been his... Defense. We should dedicate a special show just to him.
Yeah.
Because if for anybody watching from outside the UK has not seen Michael Fabricant, he makes Boris's hair and Donald Trump's hair look real.
Yeah, he's one of the reasons why I'm really worried about getting a hair transplant. I'd love to, and it's got a bit of TV work coming up. I could afford one. I'd really love to not have to worry about my head getting burnt in the sun all the time. But imagine if you pay for one and it comes out Fabricant.
Yeah, I mean, and your good mate Wayne Rooney, who you used to talk about with hair transplants, he's back in the news because he's manager of Derby. Dropping the football references.
Sport. Wow.
Because I was in a pub that had the football on, and it was there, and I watched it, so I didn't have to talk to my family.
Fair enough. Mark says, followed by Nadine Dorries, a woman who would look more at home in a onesie outside of school. That was I almost added that clip right out of time, but that would have been great. So keep the comments coming through, and if you are so inclined, keep some little donations, chuck some coins in the pot, and it keeps this thing all up and running and all funded. You can share the link for the YouTube, and if you don't want to chat, we're not really paying attention to the Twitter during the show. We've not found a way of doing that on screen yet, but send us a tweet to our little Twitter address there. Mr. Eric McElroy, what you got?
Well, I think we're gonna reach back because we have been on a bit of a break, and there are still some problems coming from my home country, the United States of America, although not so united these days. So I thought I would just kind of do a recap, just kind of look over some of the things that have been going on since we last did the show. Just to check in and see, hey, is America doing well? And I thought, well, what's it like in America these days if you just pop into a coffee shop and you see somebody in the queue in front of you? This was an image taken from a gentleman in Iowa. So those are tasers, I think, the orange guns that are there. And then the top layer of guns are guns, if that's a thing. So you got your taser guns, and then you got, I don't know, you can't really tell from the picture if he's got four arms, because I don't know how you go for all four guns at once. If that's like a thing.
Yeah, if he's like the Goro from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would do is if I was in the cafe and I was serving that gentleman a coffee, I would just make sure no matter what he asked for, I would give him decaf. There is no way I'm caffeinating that son of a bitch. I mean, that is just...
Yeah,
he's got something...
If he needs to wake up, he's got two tasers. He could just...
There's caffeine in those. Of course, Trump is on the campaign trail these days. He's back out there. He's on the road. He's at rallies. So, of course, they're, totally normal, everything that you can find at a Trump rally.
My children in California, we have a pet. One of my girls, she said, Daddy, our puppy can poop out a better president than this.
So if you couldn't catch that, he said his daughter said, "Our puppy can poop out a better president than this," and pointed at a picture of President Biden on a leash with President Xi Jinping of China. But I think a steaming pile of shit would still be better being president than Donald Trump was.
Yeah.
I'm biased. So there's lots of clips of the rallies and so on, gigantic U.S. flags and all kinds of weird shit. It's just insane. Ironically, all of that stuff is made in China. I don't even know what that means. It's just layers and layers of meta. Of course, other things are going well in America. I mean, the land. I mean, I don't agree with what that guy's saying, but he's free to say it because that's what America is about, except for when it comes to books written by Michelle Obama, which apparently some people are complaining about in schools because they're upsetting white people. And I think more than the book written by Michelle Obama and her journey as the first African-American first lady is the fact that she was just taking, because she was accused of it being reverse racism. And I think it's more just taking a job from a white person is racism now. That's essentially what that was. So, we got people loaded up with guns in cafes. We've got people doing weird things and having strange banners and claiming their daughter said strange things. We've got people trying to ban books. It's not like there's nothing you could add to that to make it even worse and stuff that's happened in the last 2 weeks in America.
White power.
White power. Yes, we've got Nazis in Florida. It's chilling. It's awful to see. It is. I mean, the thing is, though, in America, it's not, we don't have the hate speech legislation that you have in the UK. This is guaranteed speech. And I want to condemn them for what they're saying. I don't agree with what they're saying, but I also very much want to see them say it so that we can laugh at them say it. Because you can't be, I mean, of course it's terrifying. And they were saying anti-Semitic things, and they're saying white power. But some of the ways they were doing it just, I don't think are coming across quite as tough as they think it is meant to sound.
Hey, I'm gonna go tell somebody about this. Let me tell my rabbi.
Yeah, is that a South Park character? Is that a bad Yoda? Is that, oh, my precious, I'm a Nazi? I don't really know what's happening there, but it's not terrifying, is it?
I don't know if it's more or less terrifying. I'm not sure if they've doubled down and come out the other side.
Me's Nazi, methinks. I don't know what that is. I don't know how he's scaring people. Plus, if you look a little bit more closely and look at where they're standing, they're in front of a Starbucks, right? You can't be scary in front of a Starbucks because a Starbucks is a much more terrifying organization. They're the ones that have taken over the world. And all these Nazis were in there before the rally, standing there on the street, getting their little soy lattes as well. But
you reckon they'd have soy because they're lactose intolerant? Well, they're intolerant.
Yeah, they're intolerant, so they're not going to want white. They would want the white milk. That's very complicated, isn't it? It's just so many layers to this. Now, this was happening in Florida. Now, the governor is a Trump wannabe, Ron DeSantis. And so, of course, he was challenged about the fact that these Nazis were speaking in Florida, and how did he feel about it? So in a very Trumpian way, he essentially made it all about himself.
What I'm going to say is these people, these Democrats who are trying to use this as some type of political issue to try to smear me as if I had something to do with it, we're not playing their game.
It's never a good sign when people complain about Nazis and you take it personally. That's not good. I mean, that's not. What are you talking about, Nazis? What? I wasn't. I don't go to Starbucks. So just to clarify for anyone from Starbucks listening, we don't think that you're affiliated with the Nazi Party. But Trump's hold on the party is still remarkably strong, and we don't know what he's going to do, if he's going to run again, and so on. Here, for example, is nut job Congressman Madison Cawthorn about how he feels about the former president.
Trump's become like a father to me. I mean, I get to talk to him just about every single day. He's incredible. He's such a genius.
A couple things there. I mean, he thinks that Trump is like a father figure to him. I mean, it's quite possible Trump was, got around in the day. Probably still tries to if he can. Talking to Trump every day, I mean, that's got to be tedious. I mean, whether you support him or not, but to have him listen about, he's going to run through the 2016 victory, then he's going to complain about the 2020 loss, or victory as he calls it. It's going to go round and round. And then saying that you want to be one of Trump's children. I mean, Let's just check in on one of Trump's children, huh? What's Don Jr. been up to lately?
Guys, you've heard about the infamous chainsaw bayonet. It is real, and we're going to put it to use.
Only in America, you can get a gun that's also a chainsaw. Which, well, I was thinking about this, and I get it now, because initially I was thinking, I mean, that's dangerous, because you're going to be cutting down the tree and shooting the tree at the same time. That's very close contact, because it's not a very big chainsaw. It's quite short. So you're going to be close to the tree. The bullets are going to be right there. But what it's actually necessary for is you use the gun, shoot whatever you're shooting, and then go close contact with the chainsaw to chop it into little bits. So it's actually quite practical.
God, as a nation, it's terrifying.
Those are my people. Those are my people. But
it should
compared to the UK, I think the US is doing quite well.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
So what do you think? Have you? Because you've not been to America, have you?
No, and you know what? The more I see, the less I'm inclined to go. There are many other countries that don't have chainsaw guns.
But how many countries want chainsaw guns?
No one. I've never. So I think about weird stuff for a living, and I never thought it'd be cool if you put a chainsaw on a gun. Imagine. I mean, I've sat around for hours when I was at university playing Doom 2. So I've committed the manpower and the effort into both using a chainsaw when I'm out of ammo and using various guns when I've got the ammo. This is what Doom 2 is all about. And I never thought to myself, can I just, mix them together?
What about a gun that's got a little Baraka dispenser? Get your Barakas.
Oh, so I could just, from a real distance, just launch the Baraka straight into my drink.
Shoot someone and then get a Baraka at the same time.
I don't really have the urge to shoot.
Or if it had like a sippy cup on it.
I think you're missing the fundamental step of I've got no urge to shoot anyone. And if I did, I don't think I'd chainsaw them into small pieces. And again, ... if I did, I'd just get a separate chainsaw. I wouldn't want to accidentally shoot myself whilst trying to chainsaw the victim of my previous shooting.
Yeah, but then if it started to move while you're chainsawing it apart, you could just pop another bullet in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you never know. I mean, it's definitely a zombie apocalypse weapon.
But as you say, get a bigger chainsaw. In the event of a zombie apocalypse, I don't want zombies getting that close. Because as we all know, zombies eat brains, but that's probably why you Republicans are perfectly fine with a chainsaw at that length. Yeah.
I think Don Jr.'s safe. Right, let's have a look at the chat if we can. Soccer, Martin said. I don't know what that's in relationship to. Was that
you goal? Were talking about football.
There's goal. Football. General Grievous guns. Okay. Edward says skipped the book burning stage. Yeah. That has been happening as well, to be honest. I didn't have time for all the clips.
We're going to end up doing that over here, to be fair, but that's more to do with gas prices.
Yeah, just to keep warm. Wordle, says Chris Hood. He's just joining in, so I guess he was missing out. He was late on the Wordle. Have you started Wordling, Steve?
Good God, no. What? I don't want to spend any more of my time. I'm busy enough. I want more time not doing stuff. What do you have to do? Guess a word or something?
You guess a word. It's so easy. So easy. And my wife did it, who thinks she's real smart. She got her master's degree. She's all smart. Oh, you're dumb. She couldn't figure it out. It's brilliant. Best day of my life. Cafe Nero will save us. I don't know if they have Cafe Nero in America, which is a shame because I used to be a Starbucks boy because I'm from Seattle, but kind of gone off the great bean. That's Martin. Mark says, slight problem there. Remember, Cafe Nero fiddled while your panini burned.
Good. Look at the level of quality of joke that we're getting today.
Good. We're glad that you did that, Mark. We'll talk to Mark later in the show. Don Jr., Martin says, bark is worse than his bite, but better than his chainsaw. That's fine, I guess. Someone with a Russian name says vum.ong. Don't think that's a real human being.
Well, you know what? We'll welcome the bots as well.
Okay. Just give us a like and subscribe.
Smash that like.
Smash that like button. Stephen from Leatherdale says, enough of the coffee overloads. It's time for a coffee republic. Very good.
Yes. They'd be the ones. That's where you get your
who's your favorite?
I'd be a Nero guy, but I'd go to Costa more just because they always end up being the one near me. But it's not my favorite coffee. I mean, they all give me Wi-Fi. In fact, do you know what? I think the next thing I'm going to do is do speed tests on the various Wi-Fi. because I've been doing a lot of speed tests to make all of this stuff work these days. So now I'm into it. Yeah, I'm going to be picking my coffee on the Wi-Fi speed.
Back when we were driving around the country, you knew which service stations you liked.
Yeah.
And you were a prolific dogger. So.
Yeah. But again, the internet's handy for all.
Yeah. Last couple here, and then we can move on. The chainsaw, Mark says, the chainsaw gun would be useful for topiary. The chainsaw would deal with the main work, while the gun would be used to shoot off hard-to-reach leaves, as seen on NRA TV. And you get a set of free Ginsu knives. Do they have that here? Yeah.
No, but I imagine you still stab people in America.
Yeah, it's kitsch. It's old school. Don Jr. has been playing Doom, says Martin, and Mark says, you can talk to me on Sunday if you like. Well, that's what we're going to talk about. And iBoyle says, I like big bots.
I like big bots. And can you not lie?
And Britt says, finally, gone of the great beans, says Eric. Chunks of the USA look like they lost their beans, which is very true. So should we dive into the new format of the show is we deal with two big problems, and then we've got the other stories that we just don't really have time to get to. So I think, Steve, you've got some things that you just won't believe. Is that right? Yeah,
we'll just wrap up on some of these stories. You won't believe what other news stories we didn't quite get around to. Clickbait stories.
This is the BuzzFeed section of the show.
These are the clips that will do well on TikTok. Because there's this story that Royal Mail's added a barcode to its stamps, which means you can watch videos. And what I like about this story is finally that sending a letter was falling behind, what with the newfangled email that I think they've had since the 70s, that now they need to keep up. And what other way could you possibly film yourself on your phone, make a little video message for a friend, and then link it to the barcode number, upload it to a website, post, wait for days while it arrives, they scan it and view your video on their phone. The video that you took on your phone, they'll be able to watch on their phone. Wow. Brilliant. Thank heavens they've invented that. The only other reason I like this, look, no offense to posties. I realize you're trying to keep your job and it's difficult and whatnot, but people will just send that video in a WhatsApp. But anyway, the thing I like about that is because it's a QR code effectively down the side there. That's how they've done it. And 2022, this is the year to say, who would have thought that QR codes would do so well? I was trying to use them up in Edinburgh in like 2014, and everyone's like, no one's using QR codes are gone. They're rubbish. They're just never going to catch on. Yeah, speak to me when like half the world's dead, and somehow the QR code has kept us all alive. I think out of everyone who's done well out of the pandemic, QR codes are up there, almost as good as ugly people with nice eyes. They've done really well. They are your main success.
What are you trying to say?
Just the main, oh my God. Well, it's one of the stories we would have covered if we weren't off. The research that says, especially men are viewed as more attractive when they're wearing a mask. And that is just the biggest insult, isn't it? What could make you look more attractive? Definitely hiding most of your face. I mean, they didn't do research to see what happens if you wear a mask and sunglasses. Off the charts. Like a male model, then put a hat, sunglasses, and a mask on. In fact, just turn the other way. In fact, leave. And things have just looked better. So that's one story. Are you looking forward to having QR coded stamps?
Well, like you, I was an early advocate of the QR code. And if you ever come to a crack comedy night, which I organize, we have one of the biggest motherfucking QR codes you will ever see in your life. And I'm quite proud of it. I made it myself. And the T-shirts I made for crack comedy some 10 odd years ago, I put a QR code on the back and I had people mock me. And they said, well, it's stupid. And no one ever scanned it. And that QR code, because we still have one of the T-shirts. I did try and scan it, but apparently it's gone off. QR code for that QR code is no longer readable.
Right, because they all had like forwarding addresses, like bit.ly type short codes. Yeah.
But back then you had to have a special app to open the QR code, which I think made it's that extra faff. And this was early days of the whole iPhone thing. So if you loaded that app, your phone would die because the battery would be gone.
You know what really tipped me over the edge? I was watching the Sky newspaper review, and now Sky News shows a QR code on screen.
Yeah.
God, that's how QR codes went from being the biggest failure to getting more TV work than I'm getting.
Dude, we need one for We don't need to be showing the link to Ko-fi anymore. We just need to QR code this stuff.
I mean, we could do, but if anyone if anyone takes their phone out and scans a QR code from YouTube, click the damn link below. But anyway,
would that help, guys?
Would you give more money if we gave you a QR code? Is that what you want?
They're very expensive to make.
We could have one painted behind me. Just I could do it. We could change some of the units behind me to dark ones. And then there's another story that you won't believe. This story in the news. This is the story of a 21-year-old. She's a waitress, and she's got 36 double J breasts, and she's crowdfunding to try and have them reduced because, and this is a truly sad story, she gets back pain, but because she's a waitress, she says that she keeps breaking glasses and once accidentally burnt a nipple on a hot kettle. And there are so many questions in there, but I think for me is, as a waitress with 36 double J breasts, why are you breaking so many glasses? And actually, here's the question. If you're wearing glasses, why are you getting that near her tits? Surely, for all that is healthy, you would stay away. You wouldn't. It's health and safety, isn't it? Just that's the way I'd view it. That's the only joke I wrote about that one. That the word glasses has two meanings.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
It is a joke, isn't it?
You just bring up that story to test me, so I don't laugh at this poor woman's misfortune.
Well, the actual story is that you can get breast reduction on the NHS, but her doctors thought that she didn't need it.
I wouldn't mind.
Is this like an opposite of a crowdfunder? Like whatever she gets taken out? Oh, that's an interesting theory. So if she's trying to raise the money, do you get to keep some of what they remove?
No. Who wants a chunk of the inside of someone's breast?
I don't know what you're into.
I think it's more the outside is where the thrill is.
Is it?
Unless you're wearing glasses.
Not my area of expertise. So. Over to you. So, Eddie, that's me for stories you wouldn't believe. What have you got?
Right. Let's see if I click on the right thing to keep it going there. So this is an interesting one that caught my eye, as it were. If you're popping over to the mall, is that you can pick yourself up a new hip or knee when you're shopping. So it's like a different kind of body shop. You think about cars and things. So that's the only joke I really have for that story. That's handy because America is still very much a mall-driven culture. It is a little bit here in the UK, but not at the same level. Especially if you live in London, you've got more of the high street. But we're both getting a little bit older, Steve. I think. Would you like the convenience of going to the shop to pick out your new hip? Titanium, aluminum, wooden. What would you go for?
Titanium. It's one of my favorite metals. I absolutely love it. Transition metal, beautiful piece of work. But it's light and yet it's strong. But it's really difficult to try and get out of its ore. You can't just smelt it. You got to do some weird stuff with changing the atmosphere around it and heating up. I would think the problem with this is you've got to make sure that you've got ramp access from the mall on the way back. Yeah. Because it'd be very easy to walk up some steps to the place where they get the hip done, have the operation, and then you're knackered for 6 weeks. So
we do have better access, step-free access in the United States because of the American Disabilities Act. So it's not like here. And our buildings are all built in the last 5 years.
Yeah. And is it because the American Disabilities Act, or is it because so many of you are on those electric scooters?
I didn't really see that many electric scooters until I came here. I think they do exist. But they're in America, we just have cars.
Just drive into the mall.
They're much bigger. If I was going to get a replacement, I wouldn't go with those new fangled metals like titanium and stuff. I'd go old school. Definitely, if I'm going to get any metal put in my body, it's going to be lead.
Okay.
Nothing could go wrong there.
No. Soft, malleable, and toxic. What more do you want?
Yeah. What more
Soft,
do you want?
malleable, and toxic. The new EP by Britney Spears.
Yeah. And the other story that got me, the UK police have had a bad rap over the handling of Partygate, and could they have done more and so on. But there's other good things about the police, as we can see here. They're also the place where you can find your misogyny, racism, bullying, sexual harassment, all in one. So, that looks like the employment opportunity of a lifetime, Steve. I just don't know how anyone, how they say they discovered that these things were going on with the police. I don't know how they discovered that. Maybe someone actually opened their eyes.
That's
liberal sting. Boo! Steve and I have been trying to find our political voice in this because all our right-wing friends are doing great on YouTube and taking off and going crazy. But I figure if we go hardcore left, F the police.
F the police. Look at that. You should be a rapper.
I could do that. I could. I'm very good with bows. So there we go. Should we try and catch up with comments before I go? I don't know what the time is. Well, before we get too far into it, should we do an update about Sunday?
Yes.
So we're very excited to see Mark on Sunday. There has been a slight change of programming for the show that we're doing. It's more of a little bit less of a joint comic solving problems and Let's Kill Twitter, which are our friends. In that we will be there and we will be performing, but we won't quite be doing this format because of some technical issues and so on. So
it's very difficult to travel on the tube with this shed.
Yes, it's very difficult. And, that beer sign, my grandfather made that. And so I can't take it either. So we will be there. We're very excited to meet Mark in the flesh. And anyone else that can come to the show, it's at the Bill Murray or the Angel Comedy Club, if you Google that, at 4:30 on Sunday afternoon in London town. So please come along if you can. Slightly different format than we initially thought, but we're very excited about it.
Yeah, so we're going to do some stand-up, and then we are the Comic Solving Problems team taking part in the Let's Kill Twitter show.
Yes, very meta.
Yeah. Well, it's like 8 out of 10 Cats does Countdown. They don't actually do any 8 out of 10 Cats on it.
Exactly.
Comic Solving Problems does Let's Kill Twitter.
We are exactly like that.
It's a lot easier to write than having to write an hour's worth of Comic Solving Problem. With all the tech that would be required.
Figure out how to do all this. Yeah. So there's just some things, but it's going to be exciting and we're very much looking forward to it. And that's Sunday in the London town.
Yeah. Check it out. You could tweet us for details as well. That's the Twitter one. Put that there.
Were there anything else in the comments we should catch up on there?
Have a look. It's Stephen Leatherdale says it's just a relief that Royal Mail didn't go for a flick book to send you video messages, but they should have done because it would be so heavy they'd have to charge extra post. QR codes from eBay sellers could be very entertaining. I wonder what messages the social influencers who sold farts in a jar would be. Oh, imagine that. You scan it and oh dear.
Could you do an NFT of a QR code?
Yeah. I mean, you probably could. I'd have no idea. I kind of understand what an NFT is, but because I don't understand why an NFT is, I still feel like I don't understand what an NFT is. Well, we talked about this on one of our turning up on other media reviewing newspaper type things. But my point was 2 years ago, 3 years, maybe a bit more, but the guy in charge of IKEA said, we've reached peak stuff. Society no longer needs to buy stuff. And what did society do? Did it stop buying stuff? No, it found a way to buy nothing. Somehow you can spend a lot of money to own nothing. Yep. You can't funge it. Whatever it is, you ain't going to funge it, and that's all you know about it.
Yeah, but I've been doing that all my life. I've spent a lot of money, and I own nothing.
You were
I am a living NFT.
Yeah.
Let's see. Martin says you've made a spectacle of yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I Heart Boyle says you can't hit a man with glasses. Yep.
Mark says, so she burnt a nipple on a kettle. Wouldn't it be safer to carry it rather than hook it over? I mean, if you've got, you would imagine with the JJ, you're going to have some decent nipplage.
But, well, anyway. Surely it'd be better to carry something that's cold.
I'll Google it later.
Yeah, look at that. There'll be a QR code. Russell says NHS have to remove at 500 grams to breast reductions. Russell, I didn't know you'd done so much Googling about the rules on breast reductions, but it's good to know. Remove 500 grams. I don't know. Honestly, don't know how much boob that is. Obviously, it's 500 grams, but I guess it's more dense than water, so it's less than 500 mil. Half a litre of boob.
Is that the mass or the weight?
It's mass, not weight. Let's have a look. What else we've got going on here? Mark says, I genuinely have titanium implants holding my back straight. It's an excellent metal, isn't it?
Nice. Will you show us on Sunday?
Yeah, or at least If not, we will follow you around doing that sound.
If I bring my magnets, can we see? I mean, if he's had the vaccine and he got titanium, does that make you more magnetic? Is it a magnetic metal?
Given that, no, it's not. No. I was just going to say, given that the electron spins aren't going to align into ferromagnetic domains.
To kill me now.
What is that electron spin?
Martin says, soft, malleable, toxic is the what 3 words address for Priti Patel? It's Martin that says that. And Stephen Leatherdale says, weren't soft, malleable, and toxic rejected Spice Girl names?
Toxic Spice.
I think we've got a new catchphrase.
Yeah.
We haven't had a catchphrase for a while. A little chocolate pocket action going on. Martin says, that he can't make it on Sunday. Oh, well, we're sorry that you can't make it, Martin, but we'll see if the success of this live venture takes off.
Yeah, we'll see.
You never know.
I mean, I think we need to make the online one take off before we can make anything else.
Not that you guys aren't taking off for us, but
we could do with more of this.
And then Vladimir Putin, I think, is watching and also says Vom Nagu again.
Boyle says, I love it when you talk nerdy. There's lots of that. Don't you worry.
That's what the show's all about. Well,
I saw the word Tesco was somewhere. Oh, Mark saying, picking up body parts in supermarkets, I handled a couple of chicken fillets last week, and that's why I'm banned from Tesco.
Yay.
I've got that button somewhere. There it is.
There it is. Wow, nice, because you got a little bit different configuration there, so well done finding the new buttons. And it looks like we were in sync, hopefully, this time, which was a problem we had a few weeks ago. So that's what we've been doing the last 2 weeks, is just thinking about what we did the last show.
Pulling all the wires out, putting them back in, and sticking this thing on the wall behind me.
Yep. So there we go. Right. Well, other gigs this weekend. Are you anywhere else exciting?
I mean, I guess not, seeing as I can't remember. No, I'm in Wimbledon on Saturday.
Oh, yes, at Crack Comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, get your QR codes now. Check that out, crackcomedy.com. I'm at Up the Creek, which is also in London, in Greenwich, this Saturday. And
I'm in Kingston am I in Kingston on Friday? Oh, we should talk about this off air, because
I don't think so.
Email about... You
are not, according to my records. Kingston Friday. It's a really strong bill on Friday, and I don't think you're on.
Oh, well, someone. Not a school gig via Eric?
Oh, no. I canceled that a while ago.
Good. Well, I got a night off on Friday.
Sorry about that. I've got it in my notes that I told you. I can show you on the screen here.
Don't show me right now. And then, the live show that we're doing on Sunday afternoon, and then possibly turning up on a right-wing TV channel reviewing the news, saying left-wing things and getting hate tweets about it.
Yep, and that's what we try and do all the time. But we're very much glad to be back. We will be back next Tuesday at 9 o'clock in the UK, and you can watch this playback on the YouTube channel. If you can tell people about the channel, subscribe to the channel, everything else, just to keep us going.
Hopes alive, yeah.
Until the next lockdown. Although I think people are done now. They just don't give a shit anymore.
Although I was saying on stage at the backyard over the weekend, and I was saying that I'm still wearing a mask, even though it's not the kind of gig where you need to necessarily be worried about these things. And I was saying I'd still wear a mask because when you're wearing a mask, it's so much easier to call people cunts. So, strong material on the live show on the weekend.
There you go. Careful what you say at the backyard. Anyway, so we'll be back next Tuesday, if not before. We'll be back on Sunday.
Yes, we'll see you on Tuesday or on Sunday, or whatever comes first.
There we go.
Till then.
See you later. Bye-bye.